Well, the show continues. As promised, the one and only Steve Schuster of the Winnipeg Goldeyes, the voice of the Winnipeg Goldeyes. First off, Steve, man, good to see your face. Always a pleasure to have you. And man, how you doing?
Yes, same here. Thanks for having me on, Dan. Great to see you as well. And the schedule came out a couple of weeks ago, so I think we're all just super excited to hopefully have a something close to a normal year with everybody playing this year.
Yeah, that was a nice Christmas present for everyone. Late, of course, after the new year. I want to go back to 2020. I was inspired. We didn't play, obviously. The Monarchs, T-Bones at the time, Monarchs now didn't play. A little disappointed about it. I got to be honest with you. It was tough to not play and see a lot of you guys doing your thing. But I was inspired by you, by the Winnipeg Goldeyes, just what you guys did. That was a hell of a challenge, I think, last year. Walk us through that. Was it as tough as it was, at least from what I see? It looked like a tough seat to watch. Was it as tough of a thing for you guys?
Yeah, well, first, hats off to Josh Buckholz and Josh Schaub for kind of
Absolutely.
pulling everything off, and for that matter, all the owners. I mean, the owners of the teams that did play, and the owners of teams that weren't able to play last year, for
Absolutely.
agreeing for that 16 league to kind of carry forward, and of course to the players, the coaching staffs, and the managers for following the protocols and getting through from start to finish. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. I know there was a bit of a hiccup COVID wise at the beginning of the year, but when all was said and done, there were only two games that got canceled the entire season, and it was the last day, and it was a rain out because they
Right.
didn't matter in terms of the pennant race. So no games are lost at the end of the day to COVID. So just hats off to everybody that was involved. But I think we all had a blast. I mean, was it challenging to be on the road for the entire year? I mean, sure, but it really wasn't that different from going on a road trip in previous seasons. You were just kind of on the road there for
Sure.
2 months. And I think what helped mitigate some of that was we were all just appreciative to have the opportunity to play because, the six teams that were in it in the American Association last year, they were the only teams across North America professionally and minor league baseball wise that were playing something close to a normal year with fans in the stands, with travel, where it looked like a normal season. So I think that kind of helped. I do think that towards the end of the year, and you kind of see how things shifted in terms of wins and losses for Winnipeg. That being on the road, I think the fatigue and facing some of the challenges you mentioned, I think that did maybe catch up to the players. But they fought hard to the very end, and even during that tough 11-game losing streak we had in August, there was never a point where you felt like they just gave up. They were gassed, so to speak. They were tired, fatigued, battling injuries, and a lot of that just kind of caught up to them. But they fought to the very end. They were able to kind of rebound that last week, even after they were eliminated. They were able to take 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee on the road there, and they were clearly the best team last year, Milwaukee. So I
Right.
thought that was a nice way to finish up the season. But all in all, we were just appreciative to be able to play last year, and hats off to everybody that made it happen.
Yeah, it was a big hats off to a lot of folks. As a broadcaster, usually, and I'm using the word barnstorming. You really weren't a barnstorming team because you guys, it was just a separate deal. But usually, when a team doesn't play home games, they don't have a broadcaster. But you were in the unique situation you did. What were the challenges for you being the voice of the Gold Eyes? I mean, obviously, we're used to being on the road, but for that long of a stretch, was that a challenge for you?
I wouldn't say so, honestly. I kind of embraced it. And, I guess I was in the same boat as some of the, really the players and the coaches
Right.
and everyone else, from the sense that I was just really excited to do it. I felt for you and like Benning and Brad and Connor
Sure.
Ryan and everybody that didn't get to do it. This is what we love. This is what we live for. Doing the games, getting to the season, and just kind of getting lost in that 3 hours every night when the players take the field. So, um, you know, I feel tired at the end like everybody else,
Sure.
absolutely. But I was just thrilled and grateful for the opportunity to be able to do games when so many other broadcasters weren't able to last year.
That voice is Steve Schuster. I'm Dan Vaughn. We're on Monarchs Live here. Little early day edition, a Tuesday as opposed to a Wednesday, but voiceless Winnipeg Gold Eyes. Now, Winnipeg, we're in the same league, but we don't see each other like we see like our brother down in Cleveland. But from, I think, all Kansas City fans and association fans know where it really starts for the Gold Eyes. Rick Forney. I mean, Rick Forney, and he has the same characteristics. And I want to ask you this because you see him every day. I think of Greg Taggart. I think of George Samus, who's now in King County. Of course, my love for Joe Caffietra, guys like that, they all have something in common. They're really good recruiters. Rick Forney's a really good recruiter, but I think what comes with that, he's a heck of a good guy too.
Yeah, no, it's that's a really good point. I mean, I think all those guys you mentioned have a lot of things in common. They're great recruiters. I think they have very similar standards as far as the type of
Right.
people that they want in the clubhouse. It's not just about bringing in the best players, but guys are going to kind of fit their system and their philosophy, and just you know foster a good clubhouse chemistry. Because I mean, you've been around this for a long time. I mean, it only takes one or two bad apples for things to maybe go a
Yeah.
little bit sideways, and that can sometimes spill over into the wins and losses. But it's funny. I mean, if there's anybody that can maybe understand the grind of being on the road the whole year, it's Joe Calfapietra.
Yeah.
Doing that with
Yeah.
the Cats back in 2002. I mean, I think those two seasons, the '02 Rail Cats and maybe the Gold Eyes last year, were pretty similar in the sense
Right.
that they were kind of in the race for the longest time. Just things kind of caught up to them and fell off a little bit at the end. But I think it was great to see the managers recognize the challenges that Rick and the players did face, and they were able to vote him as the manager of the year, much the way Joe was in the Northern League in 2002. So I can't say enough about Rick. It's been an honor to get to know him here over the last number of years, and we're looking forward to hopefully playing some home games in Winnipeg this season.
I don't know if I ever share this with you, but my first time there, I was so nervous when I met him because he's a big dude, and I'm kind of like, God, he looks like. I mean, I don't know, because I mean, here I was. I'm not like I'm 20. I mean, I'm in my 40s at the time, but I'm like, oh, I hope I don't say anything wrong when I interview him. And he was just a phenomenal guy, and I echo that. Winnipeg, love going. It's you guys are unique because you're the international team. I mean, you know, you're the with the American Association, but you're the international team. So it has that flair to it. It's a great culture. It's a great place to go. I love going there. It has a really unique setup up there with the fans. It's a long time, baseball city. Tell us about that. Tell us about that baseball fandom up there. You guys have a really neat baseball fan group up there.
Yeah, it's unique for a couple of reasons. We're fortunate that we're in one of the larger markets, I guess, in terms
Mhm.
of population. But at the same time, I don't know if it's just because we're on the Canadian prairies, or we're small enough town, if that makes sense, where
Right.
you do get a little bit of that kind of small town feel, small town values. So it's kind of like it's like the Midwest of the North, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Having
sure,
spent a lot of
sure.
time in Wichita, so it's a
Yeah.
big city, but the people are really genuine. Can't say enough about all the people that I've met and know here since moving out here. So you're right, the culture is awesome. And then from the baseball standpoint, um, there was pro baseball here for a long time, different affiliates with the Cardinals and the Montreal Expos. It went away in the early '70s, and people wanted it back. And you know, the Blue Jays were big. They won the back-to-back World Series in the early '90s, but Toronto is very far away from Winnipeg. I mean,
Yeah.
Toronto is basically north of New York. Winnipeg is north of Dallas if you go straight up and
Sure.
down the North America. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
there's quite a bit of distance, and the closest big league team to Winnipeg, I guess, would be the Twins, which is still like a 6 or 7 hour drive. So there's no there was no outlet if you were like a hardcore baseball fan to just jump in the car and go see a professional game. So I think that's why it was so huge when the Gold Eyes came back in 1994. That um, filled a void that had been missing there for 20 years, and we've been really fortunate fans came out then and supported the team and continue to do so to this day.
You're watching Monarchs Live. Dan Vaughn, voice of the Kansas City Monarchs, and our friend Steve Schuster with the Winnipeg Gold Eyes, chatting a little American Association here for you on a Tuesday. Uh, you guys start getting going. The hot stove's getting going. I mean, that's it. Every team kind of does it at their own pace. But I looked up. Oh gosh, it seemed like just a couple weeks ago. Well, Gold Eyes had one or two. All of a sudden, boom, boom. You guys are starting to roll through them. Jose, your latest signee in relief, a good-looking reliever, has a little Joe Capietra connection. Uh, how is the roster overall? I mean, it's starting to get going now. You're starting to see signings going.
Yeah, we feel really good. I think all the teams look really good
Yeah.
right now. It's been interesting. We had Rick on our radio show last week, and he had mentioned, and I think you can kind of see this with the volume of moves at this point that you've seen from the managers, that because it looks like the minor league spring training is going to be pushed back a month,
Right.
whereas normal year, like the big league team and all their affiliates would be in Arizona,
Yeah.
Florida at the same time. And
Yeah.
then the releases, which kind of produce some of the higher profile players that end up in the American Association, that usually takes place in mid to late March.
Right.
But with that being pushed back, the timeline now for those, say, double A, triple A guys is maybe mid-April to late April, right up against our spring training. And especially for us in Winnipeg, we're not sure what the turnaround time is going to
Sure.
be, if a guy coming to camp is going to have to go through quarantine. So I think
Right.
Rick has maybe signed a few more guys than he otherwise would have at this point in the year, just to make sure that we have,
Sure.
a solid core in place. And we'll kind of fill in the gaps here between now and the start of camp. But you can kind of see that with some of the
Yeah.
other managers.
Sure. It's a competitive league. It's a great league. I mean, and I often say this: some really good teams don't make the postseason. There's some really good ball play, but over the years, you began at Wichita. For folks that don't know, Steve was Wichita. Oh gosh, what year were your first year in Wichita? You were from what? I know you were there in
This
13.
08 to 13.
So you've seen this league go from '08 until now. I've been on the league since 13. I'm telling you, this is a dadgum tough league. I don't think people realize just how tough it. It ain't easy. It's a battle every night.
Yeah, tough and talented. I mean, I forget what the exact number was, but I looked this up last year. So the first year of the American Association, 2006, I think there were like maybe 5 total players the whole year that had major league experience, like 5 in the entire league.
Right.
And then you look at like the last 2 or 3 years, like Kansas City or some of the rosters, like Milwaukee last year,
Yeah.
like they have like 5 or 6 ex big leaguers like on that team
Yeah.
alone. And I
Yeah.
think there were maybe as many as 20 that were, kind of spread throughout the American Association. And keep in mind, like the roster rules haven't changed over
Right.
that. So, that's credit to the managers being able to
Yeah.
recruit these guys in, and just, I think, to how this league is being viewed in general, that, all of a sudden, if maybe 5-10 years ago, if you were an ex big leaguer, you look down on indie ball, or you look down on the American Association, and maybe the Northern League was your top destination. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think
Sure.
this is clearly, I think from the player standpoint, being viewed as the top independent league.
Yeah, I can echo that. I know I used to be when you and I had the same routine. We find out the players coming, we do a release and a bio, and I can tell you how many times I'm like, oh, he's the big leagues. I was like, yeah, it's a big leaguer. And now it's kind of like, huh, another one. Oh, it's cool. I mean, it's like it. But let's have some fun here. All right. Where now? And I'm gonna put you on the spot here, but let's say, okay, because we love our friends in Cleveland, and they're the only 2-man broadcast crew, and that's Denning and Brad Allred, Denning Gehrig. Now they love their road trips. Now, are they tough to deal with when they come rolling into town? 2 of them at one time. Is there a lot to deal with there?
Not at all. I love both those guys. I think they complement each other really well. I actually really enjoy their broadcast. And yeah, no, they're not a handful at all. I look forward to the next time they come to Winnipeg.
Yeah, they're not trouble like me. They're not.
They're not in trouble.
No, well, only time I was ever in trouble was, I don't know if you remember this story, was when my score sheet blew out, and which was Winnipeg, the ballpark there, Shaw Park, is a really beautiful facility. Love the great view, one of the best broadcast spots in the world. And it was one of those winds that kind of swirled in and my sheets were laying flat, and I don't know if I moved my body, but the wind just picked it up and went, and they float. But the fans there obviously knew that it was pretty important. They're looking at, it's got all these broadcasters mark our things, our scorecards up, and they returned it to me. I was so thankful that those fans, a big tip of the cap. So they could have just taken it and gone, that's the Kansas City guy. Just don't know. And they brought it back up to me. So thank you, Winnipeg fans. But
that Canadian hospitality that
it
you're talking
is.
about.
But the reason I ask you about Brad and Denning, and I as a group, and I don't think I recall, and I'm just trying to, I've said this several times to Brad, I don't recall this over the years in my stops in South Atlantic League, Southern League. I got close to a few guys. I mean, had some camaraderie there, but maybe it's because it wasn't social media. But it seems like this group, granted, we want to, I mean, I want to beat Winnipeg. You want to beat Kansas City or whoever. You want your team to do well. But there's such a cool camaraderie. It's almost, I don't want to say brotherhood, but it's real fellowship amongst these broadcasters. We all seem to like each other fairly well.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of that has to do with, well, I think it has to do with a couple of things. Like you mentioned, I think we're all really invested in our teams. We care about our teams. It's not just we're not just here to move up. I mean, I think
Right.
for all of us, our dream is to maybe one day broadcast in the major leagues. But I think we all embrace the industry of independent baseball and the American Association, and to kind of piggyback off that, I think we all like respect this league. Like I said, it seems like as this league has progressed over time, that the from the player standpoint, this has kind of become the destination that if you're going to play indie ball, you want to come to the American Association. I really
Yes.
think all the broadcasters have a respect for how good this league is. And, I think, at least for me, I mean, that's one of the reasons I want to try and do the best job that I can every night, just to, try and do my part to, maintain the quality of the overall product that we're trying to put out there on a day-to-day basis.
There's no doubt you do that 100% professional all the way. Steve Schuster, the Winnipeg Goldeyes, Dan Vaughn here, the Kansas City Monarchs. Monarchs Live. Final thing, where can we follow you? Obviously, you've got a show on the radio up there in Winnipeg. You're very active on social media, of course, the Goldeyes pages as well. Where can we follow you? You've got some unique things you post, especially on Twitter. Where can we follow you?
Yeah, well, actually, so I'm only on Twitter. I don't have any other social media, so it's at Growcasting on Twitter. So would love to hear from you if you have any questions. Just want to chat about the American Association of the Gold Eyes.
Yeah, no, I will admit, I've dropped some pounds and I've been working out, but I haven't quite got to the point. But I will admit that you inspire me because you do a lot. I mean, this is a guy. Let me tell you, folks, this is a guy who knows. Like when he's talking as a broadcaster about pitching, he's actually pitching. I mean, he's done this before because he's been working and reinventing himself, working out. And I love following your videos. They're great videos. You inspire me. One day I'm watching. Well, Schuster's throwing 60-mile-an-hour sliders. Well, dang it, I can get off my ass and go run. So thank you, my friend.
You look great, and I don't think you can. You're kind of overselling. I don't think you can call what I do pitching. So it's more, I don't know, controlled chaos. Maybe I don't know what to call it.
It's good stuff, my friend. It's good. I appreciate you, Jordan. I really looking forward to at some point seeing you face to face this season. And best to you, and give the folks up there, Winnipeg and Mr. Collier, a big thumbs up from us in Kansas City, my friend.
Yeah, same here. Thanks for having me. Congrats on the name change and everything, and wish you guys nothing but the best.